For the past year, I battled how the founder of a charitably minded company like myself still hadn't figured out a way to support the thousands of people seeking asylum here in the US, or even just shed light on the issues they were facing at the border. So we donated 2,000 backpacks, one of the most requested items at the border, to an organization supporting asylum seekers in El Paso, Texas. I was then approached by filmmakers who invited me to El Paso to help tell a story about these border communities, and I jumped at the opportunity. And 2 days before I flew out, one of the deadliest mass shootings in modern history took place, with immigrants as the target. This isn't going to be one of our typical What Do We Tell the Kids projects, because the truth is, this wasn't a typical trip. My 72 hours in El Paso was so intense, so overwhelming, and so raw that a super polished video about it all just didn't feel right. It's so easy to become desensitized to all the mass shootings and tragedies plaguing our country right now, and I didn't realize how numb I had become to it all until I saw it firsthand. The community of El Paso coming together, listening to the songs, the prayers, watching the faces of the kids were things that I will never forget. There was one little boy tightly hugging his mom while she sang and prayed, and I couldn't stop looking at him as he kept reminding me of my 5-year-old son. But my original intention for this trip was to understand and experience crossing the US-Mexico border in a charged city like El Paso, where the narrative around it felt scary and even dangerous. So we crossed, and I got to admit that I was terrified as we got closer. I even promised my wife I wouldn't put myself in any questionable situations, and this felt like one of them. But as we kept walking, the feeling of danger subsided.
We're here.
But then you're there, and it's just people coming and going for work, to visit family members, yet there was still this palpable feeling of us versus them. Like a which side of the wall are you on? We visited 2 facilities in Juarez. One where family members were sent after not receiving asylum in the US. Adults and kids were sleeping on the floor in 100-degree heat. It was gut-wrenching. We then went to an orphanage where we hung out and played games with the kids, handed out some backpacks and toothpaste. And what I love about kids so much is no matter where they live or whatever struggles they're up against, kids will always be kids. My 4 a.m. cab driver, George, perfectly summed up the feelings in El Paso.
It's not fair that families have lost loved ones, just because of the rhetoric that has been going on, El Paso is a loving city. We're all brothers and sisters here, and we're not gonna let this divide us, or we're not gonna let this define us either, As a city, we're gonna get through this.
So when you watch this, I hope you'll come away with a different perspective of proud, diverse border communities just like El Paso. I hope you'll look through a wall and simply see people with stories, just like you and I. And I hope you'll share that new perspective with the kids in your life. So what now? I'm asking fellow companies and business leaders to stand with us, pledging to utilize their resources and platforms to support organizations impacting these border communities and asylum seekers in the ways they need it most. The time is now for businesses to focus on much more than the bottom line, and we're proud to stand alongside those who share that belief. Sign our pledge at statebags.com.